back to the What's Happening music show. I'm Michelle and I am here with Jamie, and we have a really great show for you guys coming up. We are going to be talking about some new discoveries that Jamie and I have found over the past couple of weeks. We've also got some really great music that we're going to be playing for you guys, and we're going to be talking about boundary pushing music. So basically people, who are pushing the boat out with their creativity and their musical instruments and electronic music. So it's going to be really, really cool. So sit tight, and Jamie, do you want to take us off with your discoveries?
Absolutely. Great to be on the show again. So my first discovery is a musician of immense talent and versatility. And I love that I'm going to start with this because I think this is a great introduction to him as a person. But he said in his profile that he is descended from noblemen, paupers, tradesmen, and sailors, many of whom are shrouded in mystery.
Ooh.
I know. Great introduction. I'm not sure how much of it is true, but his music is definitely something that has a touch of so many different things in. So maybe that's from that history, or maybe because of the fact that he has travelled throughout the world. He's been in Scotland, he's been in New Zealand, he's currently based in the Netherlands, and I'm actually talking about an artist who is called Van Tastik. I actually met this guy when he was in Edinburgh, so I actually have listened to his music in a live capacity as well as on his recordings, and I've really enjoyed him. So if you're a fan of kind of a music that takes a bit of fusion in terms of blues, some dirty rock, some rough acoustic vibes, maybe a bit of Americana soul, blends it all together and creates this, I guess, this kind of authentic gypsy type music, and I don't mean that in a negative way, it's just, he's the sort of person who, he takes a suitcase and he'll stomp in his suitcase and that's his drum, and then he's got his guitar which may have one or two strings that are slightly out of tune, but that's the sort of music he kind of goes against. He also has an amazing vocal line. It's very kind of a little bit husky but a little bit bluesy at the same time. So what I would recommend you try is something that I think is very much him, quite a haunting composition, is called Drag Me to Hell. I mean, he often, in a lot of his music, he addresses some kind of key elements that probably need to be discussed in society, and Drag Me to Hell is a good example of that. If you like more Americana sounds, then check out Ain't No Man With Money, which is a really, really good song, and he utilizes that kind of broken stereo distortion on his vocals with a bit of grit on an Americana rock style guitar, which I really enjoyed. I mean, he's a little bit like if anybody watched Jules Holland's Hootenanny, he's a little bit like Steve Wild who featured on there, like very open, very brash, very raw. Really, really good music, and I really enjoyed it. He also has a brand new single called Hangman, which came out on the 12th of February, which is a blend of those two songs, and just a really good, rough, kind of bluesy, kind of acoustic-y vibe in there, and something that's very authentic and very original, in my opinion.
Amazing. Sounds very cool. And I'm very jealous that you got to see him live, because it sounds like he'd be so cool to listen to in a live performance. But soon, hopefully, when we can get back to that, right?
Fingers crossed. One day.
Okay, so my first discovery is Yessica Woahneil. So she plays the keys, she plays the harp and the guitar, so a lovely little mixture. And I'll be honest, anybody who plays harps, I feel like, are such an underrated instrument. I think they sound so beautiful, and I love the idea that they're being used more in kind of modern music, because I think when you think about them a lot, you sort of think classical, that kind of thing. So I just love their incorporation into a lot of modern music. So absolutely, so I thought that was so cool. But anyway, so Yessica, she released an album as a project called Yes Woah in 2018, which is much more garage rocky than some of her other stuff that she's been releasing recently. But it's not too far off the mark in terms of it's not a completely different style. But yeah, she's been releasing music throughout 2020. So she's been really, really busy. And when I say she's been releasing music, I mean a lot of music. She's had a lot of stuff come out. So she actually has also been releasing stuff in 2021. So she just released a new song with Star Slinger in January, and it's called Flamin' You, and it is amazing. I absolutely love it. So that's a really good place to start. She's got a huge back catalog, including her Yes Woah releases and stuff. So check it all out because she is just a phenomenal artist. Like, absolutely adore it.
That sounds phenomenal, and totally agree with you in the harp. It's such a, as you say, an underrated instrument. I think it takes a lot of skill to be able to play a harp quite fluidly as well. So, now I'll definitely have a look at that. My next discovery is another solo project, and this one is called Feed Your Wolves. Now, I believe I've played Feed Your Wolves on the Rock Show before, but I've never really talked about them, and that's why I'm quite excited to talk about them here, because I think this person is amazing. So it is the whole work of a guy called Andy Davidson, and I'm under the impression that everything that this project does comes out of him. So the music, the production, the writing, the artwork, the websites. So he's very much a modern day polymath, I guess you could say. But the reason why I wanted to discuss his music is I think he will appeal to so many people who like indie music, who like acoustic music, and who like well-produced music. Because there's a bit of everything in his back catalogue. So I would say start with his new EP, which is called Hurricane. This is a brilliant EP because you get 6 tracks. You don't normally get that on EP, you normally get like 3 or 4, so you're definitely getting your money's worth out of this. But you get really indie rock numbers, like the title track, which is Hurricane, and you also get more kind of acoustic-y numbers, which have like a really beautiful melody, soft sitting behind it, and Davidson's vocals are just accentuated. It's the sort of thing that you put on a Sunday morning and just go, oh, this is lovely. So the song I've Been Waiting For You, which is on that EP, is a good example of that. But then the other 4 tracks on that are a mix between your kind of acoustic-y vibes or your more indie rock sort of characters. So there's a bit of something for everybody on that EP. He also has an album which came out in 2019 called Save Yourself, and just like with the EP, you get your money's worth in terms of tracks. There's 16 tracks on this, which most albums don't have that many, and it is that kind of fusion of acoustic type music and some more indie rock music, all produced to a very, very high quality, and something I really, really have enjoyed listening to. So yeah, if you like indie rock, you like acoustic music, then check out Feed Your Wolves. A really, really great artist.
Looking forward to that. So the next artist that I'm going to be talking about is Pillow Queens. So they're relatively sort of newish, I think, on the scene in the sense that they released their debut album just in September. So, you know, they've got a really good start, though. It's a really strong album. So they have been around in terms of touring and that sort of thing, though. So this band's really something to make a lot of noise about and that sort of thing. They're revolutionary sounds and lyrics. You know, in the same style, they've supported acts like Pussy Riot and Soak. So you know, and they're very similar to that kind of idea. Like, and it's, you know, pop punk influences with smooth harmonies. With smooth harmonies. And guitar distortion, which just creates like a brilliant balance in their music. Like, it's so cool. So if you like, you know, strong female bands, if you like a little bit of, you know, hardcore sort of punky pop rock stuff, like, you'll love this. So definitely check out their album. And definitely check out them. You know, it's 4 queer women making huge waves. You know, so I would actually recommend for songs to check out, because like, just to get you started, Gay Girls, really good. Absolutely amazing. Brothers and Handsome Wife. Those are my top picks. Super, super good. Absolutely love them.
Awesome. Well, I will definitely check them out. I think we probably need to mute that out, but just for the
really passionate about this band.
Clearly. Well, my final discovery also kind of falls into that pop punk category, and actually I have a question before I do this. Do you think, because I've been seeing this, I feel like kind of pop punk music's starting to make a bit of a resurgence. Like it's a little bit different from 2000s pop punk, but I feel like it's starting to get a bit more mainstream attention.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like all of us like millennials who went through our emo phase, we're all coming out in strength now. We're like, you know what? Bring back like Blink 182 and like that style. So that's my justification for it. And I'm here for it. Like I said, like everybody knows probably by now if you've been listening for a while. I love it. Like just bring it.
Well, no, I think it is. I think it is on a bit of resurgence. But yeah, my final discovery is a solo project. This is an awesome name. It is more pop punk than pizza. So for just that reason, go and check them out, because that is an awesome name. It's a solo project, but you would be forgiven to think that it was a band, because there's so much happening in the song. There's drums, there's guitars, there's vocals, there's drops, there's highs, there's changes in tempo. They are really, really good. I mean, they only have one song that I'm aware of so far. It's called "I Won't Fall Again, I Swear," and I really, really enjoyed it. And as I kind of just said, it's like pop punk, but not like early 2000s pop punk. A bit more, I guess, less washy than some of the pop punk you did get in the 2000s. A bit more focused on kind of that rock aspect of pop punk, but very heavy on the guitars, as you would expect anything from pop punk to be, and very heavy on the message. Now the message is, I guess, a bit somber. It's not necessarily a very happy feel-good song, but the thing that I loved about it is it was a lot of intricate sounds all came together to really form something that I really did enjoy, and I guess probably tickled a few nostalgia fields in my body. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm really looking forward to seeing what these guys produce in the future, because I think it'd be awesome. So yeah, that is more pop punk than pizza. What a name.
My final discovery is Jamie Donnelly, who is a lovely Irish country like folk singer. Her stuff is so lovely. Like, she plays guitar and violin, so it's got, it's a really nice mixture of country and folk. Like, honestly, it's exactly when you think like Irish country folk, like it's totally that. She's got a beautiful voice, absolutely gorgeous. And like she's had a bit of recognition actually for how good she is. She reached #1 on the Irish country music charts twice, with her singles Soapbox and Christmas Coming Home. So both of those were released in 2020. So, like, she's been making waves recently. She's been really getting herself out there. She's going to be releasing an album soon, titled The Country in Me. So keep your eyes peeled out for that. But yeah, definitely check out Soapbox. And if you feel like revisiting the Christmas season, Christmas Coming Home is really, really lovely. I know it's not December anymore, but it's a nice little song to listen to. So
Christmas isn't that far away now, is it?
Yeah.
And with that said, let's give our listeners our first present of today's show, which of course I'm talking about our first song. Now this one comes from a Romanian band called Mind If I Stay. This song is called Close to Me, picked out by Michelle. This is a great song. I really enjoyed this when you introduced this to me, Michelle, so hopefully our listeners will enjoy it too. So we're going to play that, and then we're going to come back and we're going to enter our discussion about music that crosses and transcends boundaries and also pushes those boundaries. But first, this is Close to Me by Mind If I Stay.
My hair so gently and sing a melody. promise that you'll stay here forever next to me. To me. No one looks at me like you do, and no one kisses me like you do. I feel like I am nothing without you, 'cause no one loves me like you do. You don't know that when you're looking at me, I feel like I'm flying in the air so high. If life was a movie, you would be my hero, and it would be the best part to hold you close to me. To me. No one looks at me like you do, and no one kisses me like you do. I feel like I am nothing without you, 'cause no one loves me like you do. Since I met you, everything seems brighter, 'cause you complete me, baby. I'm nothing without you. I don't feel so lost now. The days don't seem so gloomy, 'cause you really are the best thing that's happened to me. To me. I think you know that when you're looking at me, I feel like I'm flying in the air so high, 'cause life is a movie, and you are my hero, and it is the best part to hold you close to me.
Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that last song that we just played. And we're gonna kick off into our topic now. So we're talking about boundary pushing music, and basically what inspired this is I was just having a wee look through Twitter, and I saw this article from Rolling Stone, basically about Sacred Bones releasing a new album called Sounds of the Unborn. And it's the first album created by a person inside the womb. And I sort of saw, and I was like, what? But basically what's going on is Elizabeth Hart of Psychic Ills and Ivan Diaz Matei, who works with Lee Scratch Perry and Las Kellys and recorded, basically what they did is they recorded the sounds of their child, Luca, while he was still in the womb. And basically they put it through some synthesizers and created like an entire album of like the sounds of Luca, which when I first saw it, I was like, who would think of this? And then obviously the next thing they had a song that you could listen to, and so Happenin listens to one of the songs, and like I don't know about you, but when I listened to it, it was great sensation. I found it like on another level in my body, which was really awesome. Like, because we all get that when music is very emotional, people have a lot of feeling about that. But it was like when I was listening to the song, it wasn't sort of like, oh, it really brings out like a happy memory or like, oh, it just makes me want to cry or anything like that. It was just
take the weight off my shoulders. I wanna have fun tonight. Under my skin, get everyone over. I wanna have fun tonight. Alright now, ain't thinking about tomorrow. Out all night, no, I'm not gonna come home. Keep on rocking, won't be looking at the clock, no. Alright now, ain't thinking about tomorrow. No cares, just forget about your problems. Good vibes coming in. We wish those troubles away. Wish those troubles away. Right now, burning up. 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 Right now. Blazing up like dynamite. Stargazing under the light.
It's crazy, and it's so interesting. I think for me, like just touching on the thing that you were talking about with how it made you feel. Because when I listened to it, my reaction was like I felt a little bit unnerved. I wasn't sure, like you said, how I felt about it. But like for me, it was more uncomfortable, like a noise that you mentioned. But I think that's just because of somehow not only is music such a subjective thing, but music can be used to create a huge magnitude of feelings and emotions and as you're saying, with people experimenting with literally I would have never thought someone would have taken sounds from the room and translate that into a song. And you always wonder when someone produces music, what the whole emphasis behind it. Is it something that they've done because they can, or is there a deep underlying message? And I think that is a trend that's starting to pervade through music quite heavily now. I think I've mentioned this before, but I feel like the whole genre of music, this is a rock song, this is a pop song, this is electronic, this is created for whatever it may be. Those genres are kind of being pushed out. So music's becoming more and more, I think. Not that it wasn't before, but I think it's becoming more and more a tool for experimentation and uncovering sounds and feelings that we didn't know. And I think that the article that we shared is just a perfect example of how music can be used to tell the story of something we could possibly never explain or see. Those noises are something that I'm sure everybody experiences, because for those in the room, I guess, will be generic to some extent, but that's not something we remember or maybe comprehend. And I guess the whole thing about that article is they're doing something that's not been done before, and we're comprehending something that we didn't know.
I thought a really good description of it actually is from the Sacred Bones Records website, where they describe it as the expression of life in its cosmic state, pre-mind, pre-speculation, pre-influence, and pre-human. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that is kind of how you would describe how it feels and how it sounds in a way. Like it's like it's a really good description that they've come up with there, to be honest, because like that's the only way that I would think is like an accurate way of saying that. But yeah, and it's just like I just think like a lot of the time as well, like it tends to sort of be, I think especially now, like electronic music in particular is, I think, at the forefront of a lot of this kind of like pushing the boundaries and stuff like that, because there's so much you can do with sound manipulation, like through synthesizers, for example, or like through other means and that kind of thing. Like and so it's really interesting seeing like electronic artists and like soundscape artists and stuff coming out with like these new things, like to sort of manipulate sound waves and completely change how like it's like an everyday sounds, like, sounds. They can kind of like manipulate the sound of like a person walking so that it doesn't sound, it's basically like the memory of the sound of a person walking, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean?
No, that does make sense. I think something that because I used to do a lot of theatre a good couple of years ago, and there's a point that comes back to music here, but theatre is one of these things that once you start to study theatre, you realise that there's so many different avenues in theatre, and theatre is all about the impact that the audience feels from whatever it is. So you have things like Artaud's Theatre of Cruelty, which is something really brash in your face, makes you feel uncomfortable. Or you have, say, the Stanislavski approach, which people know about, your character's an onion, you peel back the layers to discover them. It's all about that atmosphere and creating some sort of kind of scene or feeling. And I feel like at the moment, as you're saying with digital music, this is almost an age where that side of music is becoming very public, very into the forefront. You're allowing people with the development technology and the fact that people can have recording equipment on their computer, and they all they need is maybe a couple £100 microphone. They record something, they manipulate it, and exploring emotions and feelings that we've never done before. And I feel like music's kind of coming into that same vein that theatre did over the 20th century, that it started exploring new ways to make the audience feel something or discover something or maybe bring light to something. And given the world that we live in and the fact that social media is an open window to a lot of things that are happening, and especially with movements that are so pivotal to ensuring equality is kept, I feel like this whole boundary pushing music that's starting to look at things and maybe even open scientific avenues that we don't know is kind of fundamental to those movements that are happening. And I feel just like with theatre, this is almost like an age where music's gonna open a whole world of exploration and feeling and discovery that we maybe didn't get before, because music was a tool for either benefiting films or videos or something for enjoyment or something to take away like kind of that silence in a room. I don't really know, and maybe it's just my complete ignorance, but I don't really know a huge amount of musical movement that has gone into exploring these more avant-garde themes and really allowing people to jump into feelings, emotions that we haven't experienced.
Well, like, it's interesting because it's like, because I totally agree with you. My thought is like, we're really pushing boundaries here now, but it's like, I also, I was listening to a podcast a few weeks ago about Delia Derbyshire, who is sort of one of the masterminds behind the Doctor Who theme, which is not only super, super recognizable, but it also like, it's again, one of those things where it's like, you get a certain feeling off of that music, like that, again, kind of like, it's like beneath the skin, like, and yeah, and the stuff, and she was doing that in like in the 1960s, and like that was before you had all the like the sort of technology that we have now, where you basically had to cut it up and line it up in the way that you wanted it, right, like manually. And yeah, so she was this incredible. She was working for the BBC Radiophonic Workshop when she was doing this. And yeah, and like it was so like it was one of those things where it was sounds that people just hadn't sort of heard before, you know, like especially you think about the Doctor Who theme song, and it is really unique. Like it maybe nowadays for definitely you recognize some of the sounds potentially and that sort of thing. But I mean at the time, like it was completely sort of new. And again, it was just sort of it's that sort of electronic music kind of, you know, that ability to manipulate sound waves and that sort of thing to again sort of push boundaries and create new sounds and stuff, you know. It's very cool.
Yeah, I think one thing that, you know, we were talking about how, you know, music evokes emotion and feelings. Music doesn't always have to sound like melodic and, you know, purposely, you know, really nice and flowery or nice and hard or whatever, you know, the music you listen to. It doesn't have to necessarily work. You might want to go, I'm going to go from a minor chord to a major chord, but I'm going to do something that's not in the scale of D, for example. So I'm going to pick two contrasting notes. And that has an effect on the human body because, you know, we were talking about before how a lot of things in life have symmetry, a lot of things in life have an equilibrium, and they just kind of work. But when things don't work, it will create an emotion, you will feel something, and I think that's one thing to remember when music is pushing boundaries, is working out, if I did something like this, why that makes you feel like that, and then how you can use that. I mean, I think a really good example of how music is used outside of, you know, films or outside of just we want to convey this emotion is how music can be used as a therapeutic drug, essentially. How it can be used to help people who or maybe are suffering. I mean, shell shock's a really good example of how music can calm someone down. I mean, you think about how, you know, if you feel sad or you maybe have gone through a breakup, you like to listen to sad songs because it resonates with your feelings. And music can be used in that sort of way for probably many things that I'm unaware of. And I mean, a good thing to remember is your autonomic nervous system, which is, you know, your breathing rate, your heart rate, is directly impacted by music. If you've ever gone to a gig and you feel the whole energy pick up because suddenly the tempo is gone, your heart rate is probably increased because your pacemaker's following the beats that those electromagnetic waves are coming through your body. So I think you know, pushing boundaries is allowing music to be used as a product of medical science to improve people's lives as well, which I think is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, totally. Because yeah, like I think it's one of those things that you forget how connected we are to the world around us. Sorry, this sounds very metaphysical, but like you forget how connected we are to like the world around us and how like we pick up stimuli that like we're not consciously picking up. So it is like, you know, those sound waves and like the tempos and the beats and that sort of thing, like those vibrations, like we are registering that. It's just you don't always realize it. And so then it's like, again, like when you're listening to like say like a certain type of music and you start to sort of feel it physically, like it's just your body responding to that. And it's one of those things where it kind of reminds you like how powerful like humans kind of are in a way, like how sensitive we can be to things, and also how powerful music is. Like the fact that like somebody who's just manipulated some sounds essentially can create like a physical reaction, you know, like that's incredibly powerful. It's very like, you know.
But it's a little bit like that familiarity complex, kind of linking back to that article about they're making sounds of the womb. I believe, and I'm not sure where I've read this, so I cannot credit my sources, but I believe something when you have a brand new baby, if you play white noise or I think maybe the sound of like a washing machine, that's similar to sounds of the womb. So if a baby is upset or seems to be a bit like unnerved, apparently that helps calm them down. And that's an amazing thing as well, that as you say, that the sound waves can impact you like that. I mean, I think about everything when you talk to people, it's all sound waves, it's all sitting within a frequency that you hear. But there's also supersonic frequencies, which we cannot hear, but science has proven exists. And I mean, you could even, this is why you get different sample rates when you record audio, where you've got a sample rate of 192 kilohertz, because it's embodying supersonic frequencies to allow you to hear the frequencies within the normal spectrum of 20 to 20,000 hertz. And they actually affect what you're doing, but we can't hear them. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are discoveries and stuff out there that talk about how there are supersonic frequencies and supersonic electromagnetic waves which we cannot hear that are impacting how you feel. There's that whole thing, this is a really good example, I think, of, there's that kind of cricket sound that they sometimes play at shopping malls to get rid of the youth because the old people can't hear it.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, that noise that, you can't hear it past a certain age or something like that.
And that obviously has an impact. They react to that, they move because they don't like it. I wouldn't be surprised if, you could come into the room that they're playing something that's sitting so low in the frequency spectrum, like 50 hertz or something, which you can't really hear. But that removes something else in the room and then makes you feel better. I mean, obviously, I don't have any examples there, but I think absolutely right. That whole thing that music is so much more than just something we listen to. It's something that has those therapeutic options, but it's also something that can make you feel pretty uncomfortable and pretty, think about horror films. If you turn a horror film's audio off, it's not scary anymore. But with the audio, it can be absolutely terrifying. And I think that's fascinating, that you find there's some sounds that are horrible, and some sounds that are nice, and then some sounds that are comforting. And I think that is amazing. And kind of going back to the topic, we're talking about obviously musicians and music pioneers pushing boundaries. There is something I discovered a long time ago, and this was when people, because every song's got a beat per minute, and there's people who do songs that are like 3,000 beats per minute. I mean, which is insane. And I listen to it and go, oh my god, it's just noise. But for somebody else, that's music. And that pushes boundaries in itself. It's taken a conventional idea and just gone, well, let's record this, let's record that. And I think just almost the idea is endless of what you can achieve.
Yeah, so just thinking, like, going back to what you're talking about like sounds and stuff that can be like calming. Like, I mean, I don't know whether you call it music or not, but you get the like whale songs and stuff,
that help you sleep and meditate. Yeah,
and like rainforest sounds and stuff like that, and just sounds of like the environment and the everyday. And like there's lots of different kinds of, like, I mean, like, you can get like pieces of music that's like, traffic, and those kind of things. And then there's also like that other side of it, that like ASMR stuff, which has become quite popular in the last couple of years, where it's just like, the sound of like crinkling
chewing
paper, or somebody talking really softly or something,
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like, and it's just sort of, and then I sort of wondered, like, I mean, do these rainforests and like bird songs and stuff, is that music, or is that just noises around us? I kind of think it's music, but it's like,
that's an interesting one. Is it music or is it just sound? And how do you define the two?
What's the line? Like,
because as I was saying before, like, not all music is melodic and nice, because I would argue that the sounds of the womb, well, that's music. Someone's produced that as a piece of music, but it's not the same type of music as you'd find that Katy Perry, for example, would produce.
Yeah. And I guess, is that the thing? Is it just somebody has to label it as music to make it music? Or is everything music?
I don't know, maybe the listeners can let us know what they think on that. Is music a grand open collage of everything that produces sound, or is the rainforest sound, is that not classified as music? It'd be interesting to see what people think.
Let us know. I want to know. I want to hear other people's thoughts.
And I guess also let us know of any other things that we've maybe not touched on that you think are pushing the boundaries of modern day music, whether you think this is somebody like the artist known as Sophie, who they sadly passed away, but they were pushing electronic music in a very, very avant-garde direction. Maybe you know examples of that, or even kind of medical or psychological uses for music. You know, let us know if there's anything that you can think of that we've maybe not touched on so far. And I'm afraid that is it for our discussion today. That was really insightful, Michelle. I thought it was a really, really good topic that we discussed there. And something I think a lot of people can get behind and get into and share some of their thoughts and their experiences of how music is pushing boundaries. So, as we said, guys, please get us in touch. Remember, you can get us on Twitter at WH Music Show. You can drop us an email at whm@avosound.com. Or you can get us on Facebook at What's Happenin Music. Tell us your thoughts, tell us your ideas. We love to hear from you. And remember, this will be on YouTube if you're not listening to it on YouTube. So you can always put a comment on there. It's on Mixcloud. I think you can do comments on there. It's SoundCloud. Likewise, I think you can do comments. I'm not sure if you can do it on Spotify and Apple. But just let us know what you think about boundary pushing music and also about today's show and some of the discoveries we have had. Now, we only have one more thing for you today, but it is another song, and this one actually was picked by Michelle twice. I don't know why I gave you the leeway to pick both songs, but you picked some great songs because this one is equally as good as the Mind If I Stay that we listened to earlier. So now we're going to listen to a band called Ålesund. They're from Bristol, and they say that they're kind of an alternative pop atmospheric band. I think that's probably a good description of the music we're just about to listen to, because this is called Lightning. It is full of atmospheric sounds, and I really enjoyed this, so hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it too. So this is Ålesund, hopefully I've said that right, with Lightning.
I understand that you are caught between a rock and a hard place, but did you really underestimate it? Time has told you what it really takes. Did it fall on deaf ears? How could you really underestimate it? Unknown denial feels like a safe space, a warm place for you to rest your weary thoughts in. And I'm not saying it's not fine to be vulnerable this time. The biggest moments in our life. Dreams you would sail away. No one anchored you to stay. The seed grows strong and it would sweep you under. Would you swim to the shore? Surging current take you on. Rise up and cause a mighty thunder. Lightning strikes from out and shore. Electricity flows from us. When lightning strikes, be my thread in the dark.
that was Lightning by Ålesund. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that as much as me and Michelle enjoyed that. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed the discoveries we've had today, and also the other track, which was Mind If I Stay, with their song Close to Me. Now, if you guys want to give your thoughts or your opinions on any of our discoveries or on the topic that we discussed, then please do so at whm@advosound.com as an email, or you can hit us up at WH Music Show on Twitter or What's Happening Music on Facebook. We always love to hear from you. And also please make sure you check out our other content, including the Welcome to the Boneyard Rock Show that happens on Volt Radio, our Friday features, and all the other amazing things that we have showcased on our website. We hope you have a brilliant day, whatever you end up doing, and we will catch you on the next show. Until then, peace.